That's steel, right?
I think it's
Or
aluminum.
Man, roadworthy.
Yeah.
Very excited. Two-latch.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So this was one of the 3 prototypes that Ibanez made, and made very quickly for me to give them feedback before they started producing and mass producing the guitar.
So when would this have been? This is like 76, 77?
77, I would say.
77?
And this one in particular, they put the knobs a little too far up, so they wound up notching the pick guard. The distance here changed, and the toggle switch.
It was like recessed inside of the...
Yeah, it was very interesting. In the drawing that I gave them of the guitar, it had a poker chip.
Yeah.
And they didn't figure out that it was a poker chip, so they actually recessed it to get that ring around it.
Wow.
And like all of the ones that we had, they have a bone and brass.
Oh, wow. I never knew that.
And the theory behind it was that it gave you that brightness, but also gave you the warmth.
Does that brass part almost act as like a 0 fret as well to kind of, or is it just, man, I've never noticed that on these.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And this is brass. Was that?
It was originally chromed.
It was? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, and the chrome is worn off.
Yeah, he's
Might need a fret dress.
yeah.
Oh, man. So this shape
Yes.
existed
The shape
briefly before you got a hold of it.
They had this, I think it was a cheap guitar. It had this really weird big pickup, and it kind of had a Firebird sunburst kind of finish. I just thought, that's a great shape.
And there were 4 knob as well, right? Some of the early ones?
This one had almost like a Selectronic on it.
Like a baritone or something?
Yeah. Later on, Ibanez started with those Iceman because I think it was a way to make the guitar without having to pay me.
Yeah.
You know, without giving me the royalty. Over time, Iceman and PS-10s got kind of interchangeable, but they're different guitars.
They're different guitars.
Yeah. So this was the original with this wide
What is that?
2 pneumatic.
Is that like a
It's like
badass or a
like a shower? Was it
Shower
a shower?
or-
Yeah.
Gibraltar or one
Yeah.
of those?
Yeah.
Was
But yes,
yeah, go ahead.
the thing that made these great was that there's a block underneath that's recessed into the guitar. So the theory behind that was more contact, more sustain.
Yeah. Was the purfling on the top
Yes.
that was part of your design?
Yeah.
What were the pickups?
These are DiMarzio's.
DiMarzio's on these original ones? And the mirrored parts on the back. So you were saying this, so that binding is truly binding a maple
Yes.
top
Absolutely.
to a mahogany back.
Yes.
With the set neck.
Yes.
3 aside
And I
on the
love
headstock.
You know,
yeah,
you
it's a
had
really
this
smooth joint.
transition.
Yeah.
If you look at it from the side, you really see.
How sleek it is. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
So, I mean, this was a proto. Did this ever come out? Would you use this, or did this just kind of get kept as a reference while the real ones were being made?
And you can see it's neck through body.
Oh yeah, you can see the seams here.
Yeah. This was a
This is a full neck
Yeah,
through.
this is
oh,
a-
you can even see it more on the back here.
and this was a prototype. What wound up coming out was almost identical. We have one, so we can
Oh,
show
let's
you.
see that next. Here. So this is what that prototype
This
ultimately.
this is the guitar. It's really cool. You know, it's got the inlay Paul Stanley.
Paul Stanley on there. We got now the correct knob
Yeah,
placement with the full size
and
guard.
the knobs have that rubber.
The
piece
rubber
on it
grip
for
on
tra-
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And the Ibanez logo is now moved up to the top of the
Yes.
headstock, and your signature on the truss rod.
Yes.
cover. So
And,
a few different variations from the
and
proto.
that Rock of Gibraltar that spans the width of the bridge as opposed to just being post going in.
Yeah. So this one saw some road. This thing.
Yes.
This thing was out.
And this is not neck through the body.
This is a set neck.
Yes, this is set.
So that changed from the protos as well.
And it's a 3-piece neck, but it is mahogany, as you can see, and it does have the maple top.
So this was officially then for sale 1978.
Yes. Yeah, and I was playing these. It was spec'd off a V I had, I'm pretty sure. You know, it's not an unfamiliar feeling guitar.
Yeah.
It's because I wanted a classic guitar, classic feel.
One of the most recognizable guitars in rock. Just one of my favorite shapes of all time. It's so unique. Kind of, like you were saying earlier, kind of Rickenbacker, 4001, but also still kind of Explorer.
Exactly.
And then down here is where they really get original with the point.
Interesting, because that kind of, I was ambivalent about that at first. I was kind of like, well, why don't we just do this? But actually, it was cool. You know, my original idea was, no, let's just keep
rounded off.
Rounded.
So, I mean, how many shows do you think?
Oh my gosh, hundreds.
Guitar saw
Hundreds and hundreds.
All around the world.
Yep.
For years and years.
There's your brass and bone.
And the brass and bone again. And the Grover. Those Grover. Yeah, patent pending with this. You get a little Star Child on there.
Yeah.
You know? Nice.
Pays to advertise.
Yeah. Love it. One last guitar. Want to end on a high note.
These were, you know, what was the norm for road cases at a point. You know, this was how we transported guitars. You didn't have big road cases like what it's sitting on. You just had these things. This houses a very special guitar because it's the first of its kind.
I think I know what it is, and I hope it is what I think it is. And there it is.
Now that's got some wear and tear. That's,
oh man,
you know, that's,
well, we were talking about recognizable guitars in rock and roll. And bring it this way. That is definitely up there.
That's the original.
I've never had a chance to feel, oh man, it is textured.
Oh yeah. There's
This
some
brownish stuff.
might be my blood. You know, there's definitely some blood in here because all these edges on this original one had to be beveled. I filed because like this one stood up above the guitar. And
right where you're going to reach for the knobs. Yeah.
You know, you bleed for your music.
Yeah.
So this is the first, and it's heavy because it's glass. It's glass, and over time the plating has come off, but it's
and it still has the abalone trim around it as well. Wow. So I mean, in terms of guitars that you've used on the road with Kiss, is this probably the most played stage guitar that you?
Well, it's certainly, yeah, I would think it's the most played guitar, and it's also the guitar that I think is most associated out of the PS guitars with me. It would be, you know, the mirror guitar.
Yeah.
And this doesn't happen overnight.
No, that's not, you can't fake that. Now, obviously there's been runs of these made stuff. So when did this like get retired from the road and you started using the newer production ones?
This has been retired for decades.
Yeah.
Decades, you know, because with time, the reflective material became lighter. At one point it was a thinner mirror, and then at one point it becomes plexi. It just reached its point where
if we ever need to clone Paul Stanley,
yes,
there's so much DNA on this guitar, they could figure it out. We could bring you back.
And on this guitar, this one, the pickguard's metal.
Weight was not a concern when building this guitar. This is when we go back to talking about stage guitars.
Yeah,
this was built to be a showstopper on stage, and obviously it was.
And a backbreaker.
And there's nothing light about this guitar.
There you go again.
With the brass and the bone.
Yeah. This is history. This is, you know, this kind of sums it all up.
I had stared at this as a kid for hours and hours and hours in guitar magazines. It's kind of surreal to be standing next to it, I got to tell you. I mean, with this one, I mean, is this ever going to be auctioned? Is this ever going to be thing, or is this sticking with you? This one's going to go to the family and forever. I mean, do you ever think?
Well, I know it's.
I mean, everybody seems to be auctioning off their collections and everything.
I know this. I've heard offers for this guitar that were pretty substantial.
Make you stop and think about it for a while.
Yeah, or at least take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I love it, and it kind of really encapsulates my whole career. I mean, this really shows its wear and tear, and it was another step going to this cracked mirror. And I think, you know, when people talk about the PS-10s or the cracked mirror ones, that's really the ultimate.
Yeah.
And this is the first.
Wow. Spectacular.
The real deal.
I was hoping we would see it. It did not disappoint.